Coffee and Headlines is brought to you by the generous support of our viewers and the following community partners: Best Cord Cutting TV, Bravo's Restaurant Bar, El Rey Lounge de Versalles, Joint Boutique Hotel and Cowork, Monzon Brewing Company, Puerto Vallarta Neurofeedback, Puerto Vallarta Owners Reps, Oculto, and Siam Cocina Thai. Thank you for your support, and thank you for supporting our community partners. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. This is our morning get together live here on Facebook, where we share important news from our city, state, and country. We share your questions, my questions, all the comments that we have, so that we can combine all this information and put it to good use. And today is a very unique day because we have a lot of important news, good, important. And I think it's time we unpack some rather unpleasant news that have been going on. You may have heard of Teuchitlán and the horrible things that were discovered there. If you haven't, I'd rather you hear it from me rather than from speculative sources. So we're going to share some bad news that are important, just in case you have been reading about them. And what else do we have? We have crazy news from Mexico City. We have a little bit of everything. As usual, I welcome your questions, and if they are important, a capital letter Q goes a great deal for us to be able to identify them. And if you are new to the broadcast and would like to receive a nice little welcome, if you're watching live for the first time, you're more than welcome to type a capital letter N, and nothing will happen, but we will be happy to welcome you to Coffee and Headlines. Let us get started with the news, and this is very important. Just yesterday, we were talking about how the garbage collection scheme was going to be improved upon. Now, Red Ambiental, which is the garbage collection service provider in Puerto Vallarta, has published new drop-off times for garbage collection. The service is changing to 4 collection zones, with 2 zones requiring disposal in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Businesses that fail to comply will be fined up to 1,000 pesos. 11,000 pesos. And we already saw this happening to an OXXO store that chose not to follow the rules. Now, if you're wondering when and at what time you should take out your trash, this is just from zone 1. I mean, look at the number of colonias in Puerto Vallarta. This is most of the downtown area and points south, as I can see. And here you need to take out your trash on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday before 7 a.m. Then there's zone 2, which looks a lot like Pitillal and its surroundings. This needs to take out trash on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but before 3 p.m., right before 3 p.m. Then there's zone 3, which is towards Coapinole, towards the outskirts of the city. This would be Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays before 3 p.m. This is zone 3. And if this doesn't show you how large the city really is, wow. And this is zone 4, which is all the people that live towards Las Juntas and so forth and so on. They need to take out their trash on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays before 7 a.m. I'm going to try and find good versions of these graphs and share them with you on directly on the Facebook page for Coffee and Headlines. But if you want to pursue them, they are located within the article that I'm going to reference in the show notes this morning. Now, the city administration continues to promote a unified color palette for facades in the El Centro area. And to that effect, Juan Pablo Martinez, who's the city and historic center manager, reported that as part of this initiative, buckets of white paint have been donated to tenants and residents for facade renovations, following the color palette established in the Puerto Vallarta urban development regulations. The specs indicate that 70% of the facade must be white, while the moldings and trim may be painted in terracotta tones. In addition, other authorized colors, such as beige and two variations of brown and terracotta, have been made available to maintain visual uniformity and highlight the city's architectural identity. And this is important news as well. The Federal Attorney for Environmental Protection, or Profepa, has stated that 26 closures are in effect, affecting an equal number of real estate developments and restaurants in Puerto Vallarta due to violations of environmental laws. The article does not specify the names of the affected businesses, but Profepa head Mariana Boy-Tomborel reported that during the previous administration in Jalisco, 48 inspections were carried out, of which 40 were of real estate developments and one of a restaurant. And as a result, 26 closures were issued that are still in effect, in addition to 9 citations and 5 more that are pending. So all I can say about this is, if you're building something, if you run a restaurant, you know the rules. Just don't break them if you want to stay in business. And then I have this one. This one, I love this photo. We talk about el Salado Estuary every now and then, but we seldom see a good picture of the observation tower located in the middle of the estuary. And I've been up there, and from the top of that tower, you can really appreciate the enormity, the size of the estuary. Now, why are we talking about this? Well, El Salado Estuary just turned 5 as a state park, but the bad news is we still cannot visit. El Salado, just in case you don't know, is the only protected urban mangrove in all of Latin America, and a key space for the conservation of ecosystem services that benefit Vallarta society. The first decree establishing it as a protected natural area was the result of an intense struggle by the community, biologists, and conservationists who successfully prevented its devastation. Around 134 species of birds, 28 species of amphibians and reptiles, 29 species of mammals, and a rich variety of insects call the estuary home. The ecosystem also acts as a natural filter, capturing carbon dioxide and regulating the flow of water into the bay. However, and despite its ecological value, El Salado has faced years of neglect, fires, sewage pollution, and the constant threat of real estate development. Despite these challenges, the ecosystem has managed to survive, and we can only hope that soon enough we'll have an opportunity to visit it. Now, this next one is not in Puerto Vallarta, but it very well could be, and it is funny, but it isn't. What am I talking about? Well, a video circulated on social media in which a Guadalajara traffic police officer can be heard offering an alternative to a woman detained after making an illegal turn in an attempt to avoid a fine. What was the alternative? Well, the police person quickly whipped out one of those portable credit card terminals. And although the driver admitted that she made a mistake and was willing to pay the corresponding fine, the officer offered her a 3,000 peso remedy in cash or by bank transfer to avoid the violation. So what do you know? Now police people carry their own credit card terminals to make sure that the bribe goes completely unnoticed. Now, of course, whenever you get stopped and you've been fined, you have the choice to pay the fine or maneuver. Um, you know what to do, but hey, if you don't have any cash, don't be surprised if a police person offers you a more high tech alternative. And this brings us to Teuchitlán. Oh dear. I never want to talk about unpleasant things, but I think this is important because it's happening in our state. I want to start by showing you this image. It is true that recent news have highlighted a very disturbing situation in Teuchitlán. In Jalisco, this is the same municipality where the beautiful round pyramids are located. What has happened is a clandestine crematorium was discovered. The clandestine crematorium was found at a ranch called Rancho Izaguirre. The discovery was made following investigations with significant involvement from search collectives like Guerreras Buscadoras, and the site is believed to have been used by organized crime, specifically the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, for the disposal of human remains. Evidence found include fragmented bone remains, clothing, and other personal belongings. And it has also been reported that the location was used as a training camp. The discovery has prompted investigations by both state and federal authorities. The severity of the findings has led to calls for thorough investigations to identify victims and hold those responsible accountable. And there is also information that the location had been previously investigated by state authorities in September of 24. How was this kept in the dark? Well, that's the part that has resulted in an angry public reaction. The discovery has caused significant public concern and outrage. There are demands for justice and increased efforts to address the issue of missing people in the region, and the situation underscores the ongoing challenges related to organized crime and violence in certain areas of Mexico. My own comment about this is indeed, Jalisco has had a major problem with people that go missing. It has been openly acknowledged by our politicians, certainly by our former governor, Alfaro. But this is huge. And now the issue for our state is, if this finding is so large, how is it that it was not reported previously? This has gotten all the way up to President Sheinbaum, who is looking into this. This is not going to go away. This is not going to affect our quality of life as we go about our business on a day-to-day basis, but it is happening. It is unavoidable. It is being replicated by national and soon international media outlets. So I figured you might as well hear about it here. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to look at them in a little while. And if this is something you'd like me to continue to follow, I'll be happy to do it. Despite the fact that you're bound to find information about it elsewhere, I just wanted to make sure that you are dealing with reliable information and not hearsay. Now, let's take a quick look at the weather before we turn on to other things. And snarky weatherman cuts to the chase and says, "Holy fucking shit, the sun is here." Okay, it's 25 degrees. Humidity is in the 50s. Oh my God, 56%. So it's not very humid out there today. And our forecast says we can expect clear skies throughout the day with a high of 27 and a low of 14. Tomorrow we can expect clear skies throughout the day with a high of 27 and a low of 14. And Saturday, mostly clear skies, but a few clouds may be wandering around. A high of 26 and a low of 13. We continue to hold on to these wonderful chilly mornings. I love them because I get to use my crochet blankies just a few weeks longer, and that makes me very, very happy. And who doesn't like spending time in bed, and who doesn't like wearing pajamas? I don't wear pajamas, but if you live in Mexico City, you may find yourself running into a bunch of people wearing pajamas out and about today. If this happens to you in Mexico City, and particularly in the subway or at the office or even at school, well, don't be surprised. This isn't just a mistake or a trend, but rather the 2025 Pajamathon, an initiative of the Mexican Psychiatric Association in collaboration with Mexico City Subway to commemorate World Sleep Day. The initiative tends to or hopes to promote a good night's sleep as something we all need. And maybe a good excuse to go shopping for pajamas. I don't wear any pajamas, but I sure love putting on my lounge clothes as soon as I get into my apartment. What is your take on pajamas? What is your favorite outfit to wear at home during your lounge period or at night? Feel free to comment on this in your comments. We'll get to those in a second. One more thing, and this is a little bit of housekeeping, but it might concern some of you. Beginning on last month, February 19th, new live broadcasts on Facebook, which of course can be replaced or downloaded or shared, will disappear after 30 days. They will be automatically removed from Facebook. What that means to me is that all those coffee and headlines that we have been recording live or sharing live here on Facebook will disappear. Now, I'm not losing any sleep over this because they are also on YouTube. I also have a copy of each and every one of them in my hard drives. So we have backup. More specifically, I'm concerned with any of you who may have other uses for Facebook Live, and you may want to find ways to download your videos before they disappear. And Facebook has promised to offer tools to do that. And of course, I don't think you feel the urge to go back at Coffee and Headlines 2 or 3 years ago. And we're going to be 5 this year. We're going to be 5 in just a few days. So I thought I would mention this in case it may affect some of you. Again, if you are curious to go see what we were talking about last year or the year before, all those videos are available on YouTube. You let me know what you think about that. And today we are going to go directly into chit chat. Why not? But not before I tell you that I had great interviews yesterday in the spotlight, and I will be unleashing them in the next few days. I actually made 3 interviews. Well, I broke them down into segments. We had a great time conversing with Diana Francis, who's doing her improv shows, and who's also doing a very unique version of the Snatch game at Nacho Daddy for 2 Mondays in a row, starting this coming Monday. And I'll talk about that in more detail tomorrow. And what else? I did 3 great interviews with Angela Kelleher, my co-producer of Hands on Vallarta. And we had an impromptu interview with Isumi, who is the food and beverage coordinator at the Joint Boutique Hotel, and she gave me some details about the DJ that is going to be playing at the cafe on Sunday morning and some of the arts and crafts that are going to be for sale and on display. And this seems like an interesting move. So I will be sharing these interviews either as part of the content that we have here at Coffee and Headlines or as separate videos that I will be uploading both to Facebook and YouTube. And now let us take a quick look at some of your comments. Boom, boom, boom. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh my goodness, Albert now has a pigeon couple in the rafters. Whatever happened to your chachalaca, Albert? I hope it's still visiting. And let's see what else we have. HOA. There's an open to the public meeting at Industry on Lázaro Cárdenas at 12 p.m. today. The chief of police will oversee the meeting and address any concerns, complaints, abuse from HOA department, Homeowners Association department. This is interesting. I wonder if it's about a specific HOA or all HOAs. But if you have something to share with us, Gary, more details, it would be appreciated. Let's see what else we have. Oh my God, Eric, we've been talking about visiting those round pyramids, and those round pyramids are not far from that crazy ranch I just talked about. I don't know what to say. Laura asks, when does the new garbage pickup schedule begin? I would imagine it begins immediately, Laura. I did not see anything that would indicate anything otherwise. So I would just be mindful of that. Paula asks, and this is a very legitimate question, does anyone else go through withdrawal after coming home? I'm already rebooking. If only the airfare was posted for next year, I'd be on that too. Of course, this applies to anyone that spent time in Puerto Vallarta. Do you, and has left, do you go through withdrawal? What a great question. Of course, whenever I visit somewhere else that I like, whenever I go to Guadalajara, for example, I'm always happy to come home, but immediately I'm making plans to go back to our capital city. Let's see. Question. Queen Laura asks, they must have a task force, correct? I hope those that have lost loved ones get answers or closure. Oh my goodness, the federal government is all over this one. It would seem to indicate, and I'm reaching here, that the state government, our state, had some knowledge about what could be going on there, but it didn't seem to be so alarming. But now that it's been uncovered, and it is clearly very alarming, the federal attorneys is very much involved in this investigation now. I did manage to see a statement made by our new governor, Governor Lemus, who said, here in Jalisco, we are not hiding anything, which means that our state government is completely open to a federal investigation. So it is troubling, but it is important to know about these things. Again, I don't think it affects us directly, but I thought you would want to know. If you don't want to know, just let me know, and I will be mindful of that moving forward. I see some of you have posted about this very timely question. Thank you very much, Paula. I love it. Albert is loving the weather. That makes two of us. And I knew Muffin would comment on the pajamas. I love it. I love it. Let's see what else. Oh, Gary meant to say his department. Okay, whose department was that? There's an open to the public meeting at Industry. The chief of police. Oh, okay. His department, the chief of police will answer questions about the police department today at Industry at 12 p.m. So if you have any questions, if you're wondering if the local cops are not carrying credit card terminals to expedite their bribe collection. No, actually, I don't think that would be a proper question to ask, but you never know. Eric says, maybe we live dangerously. You know, I would not be afraid to go to the pyramids just because there's a nasty ranch down the street. Let me clear my throat really quick. Thank you. So, no, I definitely want to visit the round pyramids. So let's make it happen whenever we go back to Guadalajara. Michael says, I'm missing the sun and beach. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Excuse me, something's tickling my throat. But that's just as well because it's time to wrap things up for today. Again, I don't like to bring bad news to the mix, but this is too big. I'll keep my eyes on it as we move forward. I'll try to find better graphs for the garbage collection, and I will post them to our Facebook page. In the meantime, feel free to look through the show notes and find your neighborhood, your colonia, so you can figure out when and where you are to dispose of your trash if you live in a place where you're expected to. As always, stay kind, stay informed, stay happy, stay in touch, stay comfortable, and I'll see you again tomorrow morning.